Story 1. The following events are based on a true story. Names and details have been altered to protect the identities of those involved. I never used to be the kind of person who checks over her shoulder. I didn't scare easy. But now, even in broad daylight, I catch myself flinching at my own reflection in glass doors. It started 3 weeks ago, during a lunch break like any other. Sun filtering through the branches in Central Park, earbuds in, sandwich half-eaten in my lap. I remember sitting on that bench, the one near the pond where the tourists gather. I dropped my napkin, and when I bent down to pick it up, I saw something taped underneath the wooden slats. A USB stick, just a plain black one with a strip of silver duct tape holding it in place. I looked around, half expecting someone to snatch it back, but no one was watching me. Back at the office, I told myself I was just curious. That's all. Maybe someone lost it. Maybe it had a name or a resume on it and I could return it. But when I plugged it into my laptop, there was only one file, home.move. That name alone should have raised flags. I opened it. The video was grainy, static heavy. It took me a second to recognize the space, my apartment, my living room to be exact. The camera angle was low, almost like it had been placed near the floor facing the couch. I sat there frozen, watching myself walk into frame, set down, my purse, and stretch. I don't remember being filmed. I don't own any hidden cameras. I closed the file and ejected the USB right away. I tried to convince myself it was some kind of glitch. Maybe my building installed new security cameras and forgot to notify us. But the angle didn't match any possible placement. There were no shelves, no tables, nothing that could have held a camera at that height. That night I searched every corner of my apartment. Under the couch, behind the TV, inside vents, nothing. I even asked my super, half joking, if he knew anything about new surveillance. He looked confused even. A little offended. I laughed it off, told him I must have dreamed it. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about the video. Against my better judgment, I plugged the USB back in. This time, the file was longer by maybe 15 seconds. Same static, same room. But now it showed me falling asleep on the couch. That wasn't in the first version. I was sure of it. I leaned in, trying to see the timestamp. The corner of the screen flickered just once, and then I saw it. My sleeping body shifted slightly, the blanket moving like someone had brushed against it. I paused the video, rewound it, watched again. My building doesn't allow pets. I live alone. That night I barely slept. I kept imagining the way the blanket moved, like fingers dragging across fabric. I double-checked every lock before bed, wedged a chair beneath the doorknob, even shoved a towel under the gap in the door. Still, every sound, the creak of the radiator, the hum of the fridge, made me flinch. By morning, I felt ridiculous, paranoid. I tossed the USB into the back of my drawer and told myself to forget it. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone copied a video from my webcam without me knowing. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. On the third day, I checked again. Same file name, slightly longer. I hesitated, then clicked. This time, the footage was from a different angle, higher, almost eye level with where I usually sleep. The camera was moving now, as if someone were holding it. My body lay motionless on the couch, breathing slowly. Then, from just outside the frame, a shadow passed. Not fast, slow, deliberate. The kind of movement that feels aware. I paused the video and sat there for a long time, heart pounding in my ears. I showed the video to a coworker, not the whole thing. Just a few seconds, enough to prove I wasn't imagining it. She laughed nervously and said it looked fake, like one of those found footage horror shorts people post online. It's probably just AI, she said. People are making creepy stuff like this for clout. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But that was my apartment, my couch, my body, and no AI could have known that I sleep with one sock on, or that I always curl my right hand under my cheek. That night, I stayed up. Not just late, I didn't sleep at all. I kept the lights on and my laptop open. Around 3:17 a.m., I heard something. Not loud. A soft click, like plastic snapping into place. I walked toward the sound, holding my breath. It came from the living room. I stood there, staring at the window. It was shut, locked from the inside. But the curtain. It was swaying slightly, like someone had just brushed past it. I didn't move for almost 10 minutes. I just watched the curtain slowly settle. The next morning, I called in sick. I didn't have the energy to pretend everything was fine. My head ached from lack of sleep, and I felt watched in every corner of my apartment. Still, I had to look. I retrieved the USB from the drawer, hands trembling, and plugged it in one more time. The file had grown again, another 20 seconds or so. My breath caught as I watched the new footage. The camera was right by my bed now. I wasn't on the couch anymore. I was in my bedroom, asleep, turned toward the lens. My face was only inches away. The camera was swaying slightly as if whoever held it was breathing. And then, my eyes opened. In the video, I mean. They opened slowly, unfocused at first, like I was waking up. But I didn't move. I just stared directly into the camera, into them. And for the briefest second, I smiled. Not a normal smile. It looked wrong, like it didn't belong on my face. I paused the video, my own reflection staring back at me from the dark screen. I hadn't slept in that position. I hadn't smiled. I don't remember waking up, but the recording said otherwise, or worse. It said someone else was there with me. I haven't watched the video since. I can't. I hid the USB behind a loose tile in the bathroom wall, but sometimes I swear I still hear it. That soft click, like plastic snapping into place. Last night I woke up with the taste of metal in my mouth and the blankets pulled down. Around my ankles, my bedroom door was open, I always close it. And this morning, the webcam on my laptop was turned slightly to the left. Just a few degrees, but enough to notice. Enough to make me check the mirror to see if I still looked like me. I don't know if anyone else has found one of these. USB sticks. I don't know who's recording rest or what is, but if you ever find one taped to a bench or hidden in plain sight, don't plug it in. Please, just walk away. Burn it if you have to, because once you see what's on it, it sees you too. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Please, tell me I'm not alone. Story 2. The following events are based on a true story. Names and details have been altered to protect the identities of those involved. I've never been one to believe in fate or omens or any of that cosmic warning crap. But lately, I can't shake the feeling that something has been watching me. Not in the metaphorical, everyone's looking at me kind of way. I mean really watching. From somewhere close, somewhere I can't see. I used to sleep with my blinds open. Now I duct tape the edges shut. And it all started with a stupid decision I made 2 weeks ago, when I picked up that damn VHS tape from the free box outside a junk shop on Newberry Street. It was one of those early spring afternoons in Boston where everything smells like thawing concrete and burnt coffee. I was walking back to my apartment after class when I saw it. A crooked table set up on the sidewalk with a cardboard sign that just said, "Free." I didn't need anything, but there was something weirdly nostalgic about the pile. Among mismatched mugs and scratched CDs sat an old black VHS tape with no label. Just a piece of masking tape across the front with "Home Video" written in smeared red ink. I don't even own a VCR, but I figured I could borrow one from the media lab on campus. It felt oddly personal, like it was waiting for someone. That night, after borrowing a dusty VCR from the student lounge, I set everything up on my small TV. The tape started with a flicker, blue screen, static, then the familiar warble of old footage. It showed what looked like a family barbecue from the late 90s. You know the type. Grainy camcorder footage, people laughing too loud, timestamp in the corner. A little girl danced awkwardly on a patchy lawn. A man in a Hawaiian shirt flipped burgers. The audio crackled, but it felt warm. Harmless. I almost turned it off. And then the screen glitched. For a second it went to static, then came back. But it wasn't the barbecue anymore. The colors were more muted, shakier. And the worst part? I recognized the setting. It was a shot of the street outside my apartment. The angle was high, like from a window across the road. The camera zoomed slightly, and I saw myself walking down the sidewalk, backpack slung over one shoulder, just like I had that afternoon. I froze. That had to be a coincidence. Maybe someone else who looked like me. But then the timestamp blinked in the corner. Today's date, just a few hours earlier. I sat there, remote clutched in my hand, every muscle in my body tense. The screen flickered again. The next clip was closer, a shaky zoom of me entering my building, the rust-colored bricks unmistakable. The camera held on the door for a few seconds after I disappeared inside, then abruptly, static, no sound, just that low, buzzing white noise. I pressed pause, then rewind, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. The angles, the lighting. It wasn't some old recording. It was filmed today, but that didn't make sense. I hadn't seen anyone filming. I hadn't felt watched. I told myself maybe it was some kind of art project, a weird coincidence. Maybe someone recorded it without me noticing and spliced it onto this old tape as a prank. But who would go to that much trouble? Who knew what I looked like? What time I walked home? What door I used? I was spiraling. I took the tape out and stared at it in my hands. It felt heavier than before, like it was holding something. I didn't sleep that night. I left the tape on my desk and kept the light on until morning. The next day, I skipped. My morning classes, I couldn't focus. Every time I tried to push the tape out of my mind, my thoughts circled back to it. That grainy image of me, the zoomed-in lens, the fact that someone had been filming me without my knowledge. By late afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I told myself I needed answers. Maybe I'd missed something. So I brought the VCR back to life, inserted the tape again, and fast-forwarded through the barbecue, through the footage of me on the street, past the moment I entered my building. What came next knocked the air out of me. The screen jumped and I saw the inside of my building stairwell. The camera was moving now. Slow, creeping steps, the slight sway of handheld footage. It was ascending, floor by floor, my floor. The image was murky, like it had been recorded in low light, but I could still make out the number on my door, 3B. The camera stopped there. No knock, no sound. Just the lens lingering, almost waiting. Then, in absolute silence, my bedroom door, not the one to the hallway, but my bedroom door inside the apartment, began to creak open. I shut the tape off, immediately. I didn't wait to see what came after. My heart was hammering in my chest, a cold sweat breaking out across my neck. I sat there staring at the blank screen, the reflection of my own face barely visible in the glass. The angle of that last shot. It couldn't have been from outside. Someone had been inside my apartment, in my room, recording. I hadn't heard anything. No doors, no footsteps. I checked the locks 3 times the night before, like I always do, didn't I? I tore through the apartment. Closet, under the bed, bathroom, nothing. The front door was still locked, the chain latch untouched. The windows hadn't been opened. I even checked the ceiling tiles in the hallway. Some weird impulse told me to look for crawl spaces. Every part of my brain screamed that this couldn't be real, but I knew what I saw. That door, my door, opening like it had done 100 times before. Only this time, someone else was holding the camera, and they hadn't left a trace. I brought the tape to campus the next day. I didn't know who to show it to, the police, a professor. I ended up sitting in one of the viewing rooms at the media lab alone, staring at the black cassette like might bite me. When I finally worked up the nerve to press play again, the footage was different. The barbecue was gone. So was the street shot. Now it was just a single scene. My room, in real time. I watched frozen as the camera panned across my belongings. My posters, my books, the exact placement of my shoes. And then, it turned to face the screen. Face me. I don't know how to explain this part. I swear I saw something move. Not on the tape, but in the reflection of the screen. Behind me. I turned and nothing was there. but I haven't stayed in that apartment since. I left that night with just my backpack. I don't even know where the tape is now. Maybe I dropped it. Maybe it disappeared, doesn't matter. Because I keep waking up at 3:17 a.m. every night, the exact time the bedroom door opened on the tape. And sometimes, just before I fall asleep, I hear the soft click of a VCR turning on. If you'd seen that tape, would you have watched it to the end? Let me know in the comments. Story 3. The following events are based on a true story. Names and details have been altered to protect the identities of those involved. I never pick up from the pier past midnight. It's a rule I made after one too many drunk tourists mistook my back seat for a puke bucket. That night was supposed to be just another run. I was parked a few blocks from the Santa Monica Pier, waiting for my next ride request. Nothing unusual, just the low hum of my hybrid engine, a stale energy drink sweating in the cup holder, and the occasional buzz from the app. The streets were quiet. Too quiet, honestly. Even the Ferris wheel lights seemed muted, like someone had dimmed the whole world. Then I saw it, a flash drive lying near the curb right beside a storm drain. Someone had slapped a tiny label on it, the kind you print from one of those office label makers. It said, "Play me if it's you." I know, I should have left there. But something about that message, the phrasing, the audacity of it, crawled under my skin. Against every gut instinct, I plugged it into the dashboard laptop I use for navigation. Logs and delivery records. The screen lit up. Just a single video file, no timestamp, no metadata, just a 5-minute clip. It opened in a dash cam view, and my stomach dropped. It was my car, my dashboard, my pine-scented air freshener swinging in the same rhythm. The footage showed a drive I hadn't taken yet, a route I recognized but couldn't place. And then I noticed something worse. The video was dated 3 days from now. At first, I thought maybe someone was messing with me. A prank, deepfake, something. But as I watched, the familiarity became too exact. The turns, the timing at the lights, even the small swerve I always make to avoid that pothole on Lincoln Boulevard. I sat there frozen, watching myself driving a route I hadn't yet driven, through streets I passed every night, but somehow they felt off. The colors in the video were duller, and the shadows lingered a little too long in the corners. My face reflected in the rearview mirror in the footage, and even from that distorted angle I could tell I looked different, tired, pale, like I hadn't slept in days. 3 minutes in, the route veered away from anything I recognized. It was still LA, but not the LA I knew. The buildings too symmetrical, the intersections too empty. The footage ended on a long, unmarked road lined with trees. No signage, no lights, just darkness swallowing the horizon. The car pulled over. My future self opened the door and stepped out. And that's when I saw it. Standing by the roadside was another figure, same height, same clothes, same face. He didn't hesitate, he walked toward him, toward me. The clip ended the moment they met. I slammed the laptop shut and tossed the flash drive onto the passenger seat like it was something alive. My hands were shaking. There was no way to explain what I had just seen, not logically. I kept telling myself it was some elaborate prank, maybe AI-generated footage stitched together by someone with too much time. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was real. Too many tiny details lined up. The scent tree I had just hung that afternoon. The new crack on my windshield from a rogue pebble 2 nights ago. Those weren't things anyone else could have known. I checked the rideshare app again. Still no pings. Still no people. Just the streetlight above me flickering every 10 seconds like it was trying to communicate. I stared out the windshield, scanning the sidewalks, half expecting to see someone, watching. But the streets were dead. A low fog had crept in off the ocean and everything looked faded, like the world was stuck between TV channels. That's when I noticed the map on my nav system had reset itself. The route from the video, the one I hadn't taken yet, was now highlighted on the screen. No destination, just a blinking cursor slowly crawling forward. My car was telling me where to go. I should have shut the engine off and gone home. Should have thrown the flash drive out the window and laughed it off later with a drink. But I didn't. I shifted into drive and let the car follow the glowing line on the screen. Like I was hypnotized. The streets were somehow quieter now, like the city was holding its breath. Every traffic light turned green just before I reached it. Every intersection was empty. The only sound was the soft, mechanical voice from my system repeating, "Continue. En route." Over and over. "Continue en route." As I drove, things started to feel wrong. Not in a big, dramatic way. More like the world had tilted slightly. Just enough to make you nauseous. Stores I passed every night looked closed, their signs unlit. Billboards were blank. A familiar gas station had no prices on the board. Just static. I turned down a street that should have been busy with bars and late-night food trucks. Instead, it was empty. Not just quiet. Abandoned. Like no one had been there in years. I felt a weight pressing on my chest. Heavy and slow. As if the car was sinking deeper into something I couldn't name. The road eventually turned rural, which didn't make sense. I hadn't left the city limits, but the buildings vanished. Replaced by trees and tall, unkempt grass creeping toward the asphalt. My GPS stopped announcing directions, though the line kept moving, guiding me deeper into nowhere. I passed a single street lamp buzzing faintly in the dark, and for a second I thought I saw someone standing beneath it. A thin silhouette, motionless. But when I looked again, it was gone, or maybe it had never been there. I kept driving, then the road matched the one from the video. I knew it before I even checked. The same cracked pavement, the same leaning trees crowding the edges. My hands gripped the wheel so tight I could feel the pulse in my fingers. Every nerve in my body screamed to turn around, to throw the car in reverse and speed back to the noise and chaos of the city. But I didn't. I slowed down, just like in the footage. I pulled over. Same spot, same angle. The headlights cut into the dark, illuminating only the narrow strip of road ahead. And then, I saw him. He stood just outside the beam of the headlights, exactly where the video ended. Same jacket, same jeans, same confused, hollow look I'd seen in the reflection of the rear view. He didn't move at first. Neither did I. We just stared at each other across the silence. Then he raised a hand, slow, deliberate, and motioned for me to come closer. Not a wave. Not a greeting, more like a summons. My breath caught. My vision blurred for a second, like I was underwater. And then, I opened the door. I don't remember stepping out. I just remember the air being colder than it should have been, and the sound of gravel crunching under two sets of shoes. The other me didn't speak. He just leaned in and whispered something. Something I don't think I was meant to hear. And then I woke up, in my car, parked back near the pier. The flash drive was gone. No footage, no route on the map. Just the scent of pine and something else. Something faintly metallic. I haven't driven since. But last night my rideshare app pinged. No address, no name, just a message. It's time to finish the route. Please, if you've seen anything like this, tell me in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one. Story 4. The following events are based on a true story. Names and details have been altered to protect the identities of those involved. I used to think the strangest thing I'd ever see on my commute was someone yelling at a pigeon. But that was before I found the camcorder. It was a Wednesday, just after 6 p.m., and the platform at the Adams Wabash CTA stop was mostly empty. The kind of cold gray evening that makes Chicago feel like it's always been winter. I only noticed the trash can because I was tossing out a half-finished cup of coffee. The camcorder was wedged at the bottom, scratched and streaked with something that looked like dried soda. At least that's what I told myself. It was surprisingly heavy when I pulled it out. No label, no bag, just there. Back at home, I wiped it down and popped the tape into the one working player I had left in my media cart, left over from when I used to teach media studies before funding cuts. At first, it was shaky footage of downtown, the Bean, Buckingham Fountain, Lakeshore Drive. all filmed from someone's hand. It felt like a forgotten tourist tape. But then it cut, hard cut. The scene flickered and came back showing rows of desks. My desks. The posters on the walls were mine. The crooked blinds on the window. The ancient rolling whiteboard with the dented corner. All mine. The timestamp was 2:14 a.m. At first I tried to rationalize it. Maybe a janitor or a student had borrowed the camcorder and decided to film the room for a project. Maybe it had been sitting in the school's lost and found for years and someone just tossed it. But that didn't explain how they got in, or why the footage looked so deliberate. The angle never changed. The camera sat low on a desk in the back of the room, the lens fixed on my podium. No movement, just silence. Almost 10 minutes of stillness, like the room was waiting for something. And then it wasn't empty. I walked in. On the tape, I walked into the room alone, wearing the coat I'd worn to school that morning. I stood by my desk, not moving, not speaking, just standing there like I was listening for something. The way my head tilted, it wasn't natural. It was like I was tracking a sound, but my face was blank. No expression, no recognition. And the real problem? I don't remember ever being there, not that night, not ever. I paused the tape and checked my phone calendar, my journal, even emails I might have sent that night. Nothing. I was home. I should have been home. I live alone, so there's no one to confirm that. But I know I didn't go back to the school. I never do after hours. The building gets locked by 6:30 p.m., and only custodial staff have access. And yet, there I was on camera, standing in that classroom at 2:14 in the morning like I belonged there. After a while, the tape cut again. More city footage, this time at night, blurry and shaky, as if whoever held the camera was walking fast or running. At one point, the lens lingered on a dark storefront window. I swear I saw my reflection in it, but it wasn't me holding the camera. I told myself I'd stop watching. I even ejected the tape and put it back in the case. But around 2 a.m., the same time the classroom clip was marked, I woke up in a cold sweat. Not from a dream exactly, just a jolt. Like I'd been dropped into my body from somewhere high up. I got out of bed, turned on every light in my apartment, and sat in front of the camcorder for 20 minutes, just staring at it. I felt like it was waiting, like it knew I'd come back. So I pressed play again. This time there were no city shots. Just blackness. A solid, silent black screen that lasted over a minute. I almost turned it off until I heard my voice, whispering. I couldn't make out the words at first. It was like hearing myself through a wall, muffled, breathy, distant. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to catch anything familiar. Then slowly, the whispering got clearer. "Don't turn around," I said, over and over in a hoarse, trembling voice. "Don't turn around. Don't turn around." My voice, but not mine. There was panic in it, desperation, and just underneath, I could hear something else. A soft scraping sound like fingernails dragging across tile. I froze. Not because of the noise, but because I realized something terrifying. The whisper wasn't coming from the camcorder. It was coming from behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly knocked over my chair, but there was nothing there. Just my kitchen, the refrigerator humming, the clock ticking loudly in the silence. I even said, "Hello?" out loud like an idiot, as if anyone or anything and would answer. I stood there for a long time, heart pounding so hard I could barely hear over it. Eventually, I turned back to the screen. The footage had ended, just static now, but something new had appeared. A timestamp I hadn't seen before. It was today's date, and the time. 2:47 a.m. The exact moment I'd turned around. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I left every light on and sat on the couch with a kitchen knife beside me, feeling ridiculous but unable to shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. The next morning, I brought the camcorder to school. I thought maybe showing the footage to security or the principal would make it real. Give it weight, context, something. But when I got there, the tape was blank. completely wiped. Not even the city footage, just dead air and a time code that never moved. I know what I saw, I know what I heard. But now, there was no proof, just me. A haunted look in my eyes and a piece of tech that suddenly meant nothing to anyone else. I didn't tell anyone. What could I say? That I saw myself breaking into my own classroom? That I whispered a warning to myself from a dark void? I started leaving school earlier, making excuses to skip after-hours meetings. I changed the locks on my apartment even though nothing had been broken into. But the feeling, that crawling sensation just behind me, didn't go away. I started catching myself staring at corners, flinching at reflections, double-checking locks. And a few days later, I noticed something else. A small red light blinking above the whiteboard in my classroom, hidden in the corner where the wall meets the ceiling, a place no one ever looks. A camera, one I didn't install. I got a chair and climbed up to inspect it. It was small, one of those cheap security cams you can buy online. No school markings, no tape, just a tiny lens staring straight down at my desk. I yanked it out of the wall, nearly dropped it when I realized it was warm. Not just from being plugged in. It felt like something that had just been used. I brought it home thinking I'd find out where it transmitted to. Maybe trace an IP or a signal. But the second I plugged it into my laptop, my screen went black. Not blue, not frozen, just black. Then my voice came through the speakers. Again, whispering the same thing, "Don't turn around." But this time the voice was closer, like it was right beside me. I slammed the laptop shut and backed away from the desk, heart hammering, mouth dry. I didn't dare look behind me. I stood there, eyes locked on the blank screen, until the sun started rising outside. Only then did I feel safe enough to breathe. The moment the daylight hit the windows, it was like whatever had been there backed off. I opened the laptop again. It worked fine. No files, no audio, no trace of anything. And yet, for the rest of the day, I kept hearing faint echoes. In the halls, in the elevator, in the hum of the overhead lights. A whisper buried in white noise, repeating the same phrase, quieter each time, like it was getting tired of warning. Last night I unplugged everything, every outlet, every light. I even took the batteries out of my smoke detectors just in case. I wanted silence, real silence, not the kind that hums with something waiting behind it. I went to bed, with headphones on, playing static to drown everything out. But at exactly 2:14 a.m., my bedroom light flickered on. My headphones stopped, and from the hallway I heard my own voice. Calm this time, not whispering. It said, "Okay, you can turn around now." I didn't move. I stayed under the covers, too afraid to even breathe. But I swear I felt the mattress shift just slightly, like someone had sat down on the edge. I haven't been back to school since. I called in sick, then stopped answering calls altogether. There's something following. Me said, I don't know how it got in or what it wants, but I think the warning was never meant to protect me from it. It was it. And now it's done waiting. I haven't looked in any mirrors today. I haven't turned around once. But the whisper's back, low and constant, threading through every sound in this apartment. I don't know what happens if I turn around. But if you've ever found something that wasn't yours, something that felt like it wanted to be found, I need to know. Has it started talking to you too? Story 5. The following. Events are based on a true story. Names and details have been altered to protect the identities of those involved. I've always had this weird habit of checking the tops of vending machines. Don't ask me why. Maybe I'm hoping to find loose change or someone's forgotten snack. But last Tuesday at Grand Central, what I found wasn't a candy bar. It was a VHS tape. No label, no case. Just a black cassette, dusty and scuffed, sitting there like it had been waiting for someone to notice it. I almost left it there. I probably should have. Curiosity got the better of me. I took it home in my backpack and called. My cousin Josh, who's into retro tech stuff. He lent me an old VCR that still worked, the kind with the clunky buttons and blinking green clock. I didn't expect much, maybe some weird street art project or a lost family video. But the footage started with shaky, distorted clips of random streets, grainy, warped colors. Then about 10 minutes in, something shifted. The footage started looking familiar. Too familiar. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then I recognized the corner deli across from my building, the graffiti on the brick wall by the alley. The angle of the footage changed, like someone was filming from across the street, zooming in slowly. I saw my own apartment complex. The camera didn't shake anymore. It just watched. I didn't remember seeing anyone standing there that day. Or any day. Then it cut. No fade out, no sound, just a hard jump to a new angle inside my building's lobby. My building doesn't have any obvious cameras, and I sure as hell never noticed one pointed at the entrance from that perspective. The footage was clearer now. Cleaner. I watched myself come in carrying groceries. I remembered that day it was raining. I had stopped to shake off my umbrella, but in the video, something was off. My reflection in the glass door lagged by a half second, and when I turned to press the elevator button, the reflection didn't move at all. I paused the tape, rewound it, and watched that section again. Same thing. The reflection stayed frozen for a full second after I moved. Then without warning, it caught up all at once, like a buffering video snapping back to real time. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe it was a glitch in the tape. Maybe the mirror was dirty. But when I pressed play again, the scene had already changed. Now it was inside my apartment, my actual apartment. I recognized the couch, the framed poster of the thing on the wall, even the coffee mug I'd left on the table that morning. My heart started racing. I live alone. I don't have cameras in my place. I never installed any. Yet here it was. Footage of me walking around, folding laundry, opening the fridge. Normal stuff. Except the camera angle. It wasn't static. It shifted slightly, like whoever was filming adjusted their stance. It was handheld. I froze when the footage showed me standing in front of the bathroom mirror. I leaned in close to the screen, trying to remember when that could have been recorded. I was brushing my teeth, nothing unusual. But then my reflection tilted its head, just slightly. The real me, the one on the tape, didn't. I kept brushing, unaware, but the reflection, it was staring directly into the camera, like it knew I'd be watching later. Then came the part that still makes my skin crawl. I watched myself walk to the front door and stop. I stood there for a few seconds, then slowly reached for the knob and opened it. But there was nothing. No knock, no sound, no one visible on the other side. I just opened the door and stepped aside like I was letting someone in, someone the camera couldn't see. And the reflection in the hallway mirror, it was smiling. I stopped the tape again and just sat there breathing hard. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was edited somehow, maybe someone was playing a twisted joke, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I hadn't opened that door alone. I checked the locks, deadbolt and chain still engaged. Everything seemed normal, but I couldn't remember ever opening the door like that. Not recently, not at all. I called Josh, asked if he could come over. I didn't tell him everything, just said the tape was weird and I wanted him to see it. While I waited, I rewound to the last part, just to make sure I hadn't imagined it. This time, something was different. After I opened the door, the footage lingered longer. I hadn't noticed before, but a shadow passed along the hallway wall, tall and thin but distorted, like it didn't match any human shape. And when the camera panned slightly, just barely, I swear I saw a second reflection in the mirror, standing behind mine. Josh showed up about 20 minutes later. I didn't even have to say anything. He took one look at my face and went quiet. We watched the tape together from the beginning, but this time, parts were missing. The street footage was shorter. The lobby scene was gone entirely. And the segment in my apartment, it ended just before the bathroom mirror part, like it had edited itself. Josh thought I was screwing with him, said it was a waste of time. I didn't argue. I was too busy, staring at the screen. Because after he left, when I ejected the tape, it had a label on it. In red marker, smeared and crooked, it said, Play again, watch closer. I haven't. I keep it locked in a drawer, but every night since, I've heard footsteps outside my door around 3:12 a.m. Always the same time. Always just one slow pass from one end of the hallway to the other. I haven't looked through the peephole. I don't want to know what I'll see, but if anyone out there has found a tape like this, if any of this sounds familiar, please say something in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one.